So this is Shannon Yates, and Shannon is a good friend of mine, and she started off her career at the OLG Security, and she was a supervisor there. So I've asked her to come in and speak about private security, and a lot of people need some stepping stones before they go right into police foundation. So this is a great career opportunity. Shannon has moved on from the security field, and she now works full-time at Fanshawe College, and she coordinates the public safety fundamentals course. So she's one of ours, and she's doing a great job, and she's great at speaking to the police foundation students as well, because she knows their background. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Shannon, if you could talk about the OLG security. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, and thank you, Elizabeth, for allowing me this opportunity to come and share with your students about security at the OLG. And, before I get into it, I know all of you are all excited and you're thinking probably specific sector, right? Police, corrections, customs. And a lot of times people don't stop and think about some of the stepping stones or various avenues of law enforcement, and security at the OLG and other security sectors really is that private policing. And it's just as a fulfilling and rewarding career as policing. And so, as Elizabeth said, I had worked security at the OLG and did that for a number of years. And so from 2001 to 2013, I was employed in various capacities for the OLG, specifically at the Woodstock Slots. It was formerly owned by the OLG, now it is Gateway Casinos. And during my time there, I moved through various ranks within the security department. Started as a security officer, was promoted to dual rate security supervisor, which means you're either scheduled as a security officer or you're scheduled as a security supervisor. It depends what capacity you are needed for that shift. And I've also had the honor of being a security supervisor. I was also emergency medical response officer, and that is very intense training specific to emergency crises such as diabetic, heart attacks, strokes. Even we were trained on how to deliver a baby. Yes, that is correct. We were trained, we had OB kids on site because some females, while they were on the way to the hospital to deliver their child, decided to stop and play a few slot machines and ended up going further into labor. And so again, through that emergency medical response officer, it's actually called or equivalent to a paramedic 1. And so this time at the OLG, this 12 years, as I say, I really enjoyed my career. I didn't leave because I didn't enjoy it. I left because I wanted more. I wanted to further my education as such. And so I'll get to that further within this presentation. So my level of education is I have a Police Foundations diploma from Westervelt College. I know, boo, that's a competition. However, back in 2000, I obtained a Police Foundations diploma. And what's interesting about that, that was 1999 was the first year that Police Foundations was introduced. So I was part of that cohort, and I know you're doing the math, aren't you? Here we are, 2020. But again, I have experience. I've gone through the Police Foundations and know that they're all regulated by the ministry. So I appreciate your studies, during this program. I also have a Law and Security Administration diploma from Mohawk College. And then, as I was saying, 2001 to 2013, I was in my career. I was successful. I was doing very well. I enjoyed it. Lots of things going on there. But I wanted more. I wanted to further my career. And so I stepped out and went back to university. And so for all you mature students out there, kudos to you. And I appreciate that. When you've been out of school a while, and then you go and you're like, What is APA referencing? What do you mean you want me to write a crises? And so again, I applaud you and I encourage you to stick to that path, to stick to your goal, because being here in this program absolutely is going to pay off in the end. I did that 4-year BA in 2 years. And how I did that, like you were in the accelerated program, I went all summer long so I could complete those studies. And then, because I love school so much, I did my Master's of Arts in Religion and Culture and graduated with that October of 2017. And so again, when I say to you, I understand and know what it's like being in school and studies. It wasn't that long ago I graduated. What that led me to, and this is where Elizabeth, I owe her a world of gratitude, because she gave me my first teaching opportunity back in March of 2017. And so I was in my master's studies, and I had reached out to Elizabeth numerous times. Maybe she'll share with you how proactive, I like to say proactive, not harassing, proactive.
Assistant.
How proactive I was. And so Elizabeth gave me my first teaching opportunity at Fanshawe College, teaching the Issues in Diversity course. And it very nicely utilized my 12 years of law enforcement as well as my BA and what I was studying in my MA. And so again, very much in gratitude to Elizabeth. Here we are now, 2021. And so now I teach full-time at the London campus. I'm full-time faculty for the School of Public Safety, and I'm also the program coordinator, as Elizabeth said, for Public Safety Fundamentals program. And my encouragement again to you is this, that as you are working towards these aspirations and you stepped out and you're taking this Police Foundations program, and I can guarantee you this is an excellent program. I have been a reference now for 3 graduates from the Woodstock campus. All 3 of these graduates have successfully been hired by police services, with 2 just graduating from OPC this past December, and 1 just started this January. So if you need encouragement to know that you are, you have this excellent program and you're being prepared for that career you want, let me tell you, you are. And Elizabeth does a great job of coordinating this program and ensuring all of you are getting everything you need, again, to attain that career goal. So, role of security. And again, a lot of people don't think about private policing the same or security officers the same, but I can tell you in actuality, statistically wise, there are more private policing or more private or security officers than there are sworn police officers for a specific police service. And so, and the other thing is, private and public police work in conjunction with each other. And so we're there to support the police, and the police are there to support us. And as I was saying, it really, my time at the OLG, the Woodstock slots, was a fascinating, and I have some stories I'm going to share with you, because it's not exactly what people think. So if you're looking for a little bit of excitement, this might fulfill that too. So the role of the security officer, or anyone in security, maintain integrity of gaming operations, ensure patron and staff safety, protect assets, and be vigilant against criminal activity and provincial infractions. And let me tell you, I have been involved in a number of cases that were of criminal activity, including theft, fraud, money laundering, human trafficking, also on the gaming floor, drug trafficking, domestic violence. There, you know, and again, you figure these casinos at times can be hot spots for criminal activity. There's actually intense training about this, because what better way to make money disappear or flow through than a casino? And so I've actually was involved in a case that involved the Hells Angels, and our CMP were looking or watching a specific member, and if he didn't show up in my casino one night. And so again, you know, my duty, we are regulated by the Ontario Provincial Police Gaming Unit, as well as we work in conjunction with the local constabulary, so Woodstock Police Service. And so again, you know, it's being vigilant, it's being out there on the floor, it's observing, it's interacting with people. Provincial infractions, one of the main ones for this category would be you cannot be intoxicated or even appear to be intoxicated while in a casino. And that really is protection of a person, because if a person is intoxicated, then the thought is, well, they're not really making rational decisions, are they? And therefore, they might spend more money than they normally would if they were sober. And so again, it is an actual law. You cannot be. And so many times, and people come to casinos because they think, hey, let's party. And then there's security supervisor Shan saying, no, you got to leave. And not only that, you're getting a 24-hour trespass. And that would lead to some conflicts and confrontations, because again, people think they're coming for a good time. But I share that because there really is a responsibility in OLG, and I presume Gateway would be the same, the responsibility to the patron, and that is ensuring they're not spending, they're making rational decisions. Liaise with other departments and outside agencies. As I say, I worked in conjunction many times with the Woodstock Police Service. We did have to report to the OPP Gaming Detachment, as well as the Alcohol and Gaming Commission. And so, you know, this liaison and this networking, actually, for those of you who would utilize the security at a casino as a stepping stone, this networking is a great opportunity, isn't it, to get your name out there and to meet police officers and to talk to the OPP Gaming Detachment, because they are staff sergeants for the OPP. And so again, this networking, it really is a value. And I can tell you, networking, that promotion of oneself, getting your name out there, working with people is absolutely critical to your career. Respond proficiently to crisis situations, medical emergencies, patron and staff complaints. And there were a number of crisis situations that transpired within that gaming floor, within that facility. And so one that I'm recalling to mind is a male patron was having a medical crisis, and actually people thought he was intoxicated. He was actually having a stroke. And so again, these crisis situations, and you have to be on your game. There is a duty, there's a liability. And so these crisis situations, as I said, for those who like a little bit of excitement, at least where I was working the Woodstock slots, there was excitement going on. And then mediate, provide conflict resolution, critical thinking, and problem solving skills. And again, those skills are very much in demand. They are being sought. Police services, customs, corrections are seeking these skills from their candidates. And so this experience, this employment experience, could be very much an opportunity for you to work on and develop those skills. Specific duties Reports, reports, reports. And so for those of you who don't like writing or hate writ or comms or the essay you do for Miss Shoneman, let me tell you, those writing skills are absolutely vital. And again, as a professor and as, you know, and I talked with numerous police services and other law enforcement agencies, and the feedback always is we are seeking candidates who have those strong writing skills. So don't scoff at, you know, your writ class, your comms class, or any of that. Embrace it, because what, you know, Fanshawe and Elizabeth is trying to do is to make you that excellent candidate. Because myself, as a security supervisor, think of it this way, and I hired a number of security officers, and some being graduates of Fanshawe College. And notably, one thing I would look at is their resume, obviously, to see, one, their writing skills. And so if your resume, and I can tell you, I've seen a number of them, and they said they're police foundation students, but if your resume is not a piece of excellence, your opportunity is gone. You're not even going to get in the door for an interview. And think of it another way. When you are in the performance of your duties and you're involved in these crisis situations and criminal investigations and provincial infractions, you are writing legal documents that may be used in court. And so again, your ability to write a piece of excellence is vital to that case. As I say, and you know, with security officers, as a security supervisor, they're writing their reports. No, take this back. I cannot submit this to the OPP gaming detachment as it stands, because again, potentially, if this goes to court, this is no good. And I'm putting it very simply. So embrace this time. Everything you're learning in this program is to prepare you to make you that excellent candidate. So I encourage you 100% in, do all the work. We are also responsible for identification checks, specifically for minors, and the number of individuals who had obtained ID, driver's licenses that were not theirs, looked similar to them. Probably an older sibling had given it to them. I also know you can purchase them through the black market. But the number of individuals who were minors who tried to gain entry to the gaming floor really was outstanding at times. And so, but my responsibility again, and those who were working at these casinos, is to ensure a minor does not gain entry. And, you know, so it's using due diligence, it's questioning, it's engaging. One case I had, I remember a mother and her daughter had come. I asked the daughter for identification, which she presented, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, And so I, you know, questioned her, what's your date of birth? Well, she gave me her actual date of birth and not what was documented on the ID. And so I very, you know, nicely said, I do not believe this is you, and I will be confiscating this piece of ID and surrendering it to the Woodstock Police Service. And so they come and they do an investigation, because again, that is fraud, isn't it? That's false identification. And so, as I say, there's many aspects. There were so many duties. As I said before, identify intoxicated persons. It's a violation of the Liquor License Act and the Gaming Control Act. And many stories with that. And people then, once you have identified, you've done, you know, the alcohol assessment and they are escorted out, then another issue could transpire from that, people who are intoxicated trying to drive their vehicles home. So again, this is where the local constabulary, Woodstock police, are called, and then they are on scene. Respond and administer medical treatment, provide escort of assets, security presence a must. So anytime cash, those assets were being moved around that facility, security had to be present because we're guarding those assets. Just the same as you would see with Brinks or Garda, they're guarding those assets. So too, with the casinos, the security officers must be present to guard them. And as I was saying before, thoroughly investigate incidents inclusive of theft, assault, drug trafficking, counterfeit money, the number of counterfeit bills that would come through the casino, domestic violence. And this was really very sad. I really struggled with this because you have an individual who is addicted. And I know you learn about this with Miss Shaunaman about addictions and mental health and gambling being no different than any other. It is an addiction. And you would have an individual who would be in there consistently, and their spouse would come in, and this individual had completely depleted life savings. They had racked up credit, so they had financially ruined their family. And I, had seen many domestics over this issue, this individual being addicted, and what they need is treatment. I can honestly attest it is treatment that is needed. They can't just stop. And so, as I say, these cases, when it comes to domestic violence, obviously security is there and responding and intervening, and we would get the police involved, especially if it turned into physical acts, which I had seen on numerous occasions where the spouse would physically accost, physically assault this individual. And you have to appreciate, and in no way am I justifying or saying it's okay, but again, emotions being high because being financially ruined because of this addiction. And so you need to have a level of empathy as well, yet uphold the law. And so that one always really, I found so difficult. Harassment, loitering, intoxication, damage of OLG property. People, if they were losing, would start punching the machine and break it, in which case they are responsible or liable for paying the replacement or fixing it. Uttering threats, the number of times, and again, appreciate in this environment, people are coming because they want to win. And because of addiction, this gambling addiction, when they're losing, emotions, again, as I say, can get quite high. People get stressed out. And so, the number of times that I have been called very graphic names or told they were going to blow up the place or they were going to come. And again, that is illegal, uttering threats. But this environment, as I say, could at times perpetuate that. Stalking, cheat at play, public indecency. We would have people sometimes, if they lost, they go outside and they would urinate on the wall as they continued. And so again, it was these public displays of their being upset and distressed. There's an assault. The number of individuals that would lash out at each other. And a specific, case that comes to mind is there was an elderly lady who would come in, and she liked this one machine. This machine she literally claimed as hers. And if anyone else was playing it, she literally would punch them in the back of the head or pull their hair or try to push them off the chair. And again, because she wanted to play this specific machine, or patrons fighting over machines. So as I say, many of you might not have thought of all these things that are going on in a casino. You think it's fun, I'm gonna win, it's a Friday night adventure with my friends. And yet the role and duty of security is to monitor all this, to be involved in all this. And I did. I enjoyed my career with the OLG. Let's move on a little bit. So again, and I want to take some time to talk about new hires and applications. And actually, I will share with you one graduate from the Woodstock Campus Police Foundation now works at a casino. He's a dual rate security supervisor. And so he quite enjoys this career as well. New hires, and they are seeking out people with either Police Foundation's diploma or a law and security diploma. And again, it's because all that education and training you've had, those skills, that knowledge is all applicable to security positions, to security officers. So that is one requirement. This well-written cover letter, and I can't stress it enough. I have read so many cover letters, resumes, and again, they have said they were Police Foundation's graduate, but it was absolutely horrific, if I can use that word. And that is a representation of you. That's the first impression that the supervisor has of you, that I had of these individuals. And so I'm telling you, proofread, 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 or have someone else proofread it to ensure it is that piece of excellence. The other thing noted is, and some people can kind of get bogged down in these job descriptions and what they're looking for, but it's so important that you precisely convey how you meet that job criteria. Because again, I'm looking at it. So there's specific things I want. I want people who are good at conflict resolution. I want people who can work with the public. I want people who have had certain training. And so again, to make sure you specifically outline and convey how you meet that job criteria. Because think of it this way, in some of these positions, there might be one or two, and it's the same with police services. There might be a handful, but 500 to 1,000 people apply. You have to stand out. And that resume cover letter is that quick first impression where they're checking, where I was checking to see, yes, I want to talk to this person because they've told me that they have these skills. And so again, know that. Research the employer, you know, and it shows a few things. One, you've taken the time, so you're really interested in this service. And two, it, you know, having that knowledge base again, you know, and because there's always a question on it, you know, what do you know about, you know, the OLG? What do you know about the Woodstock slots? And so again, it shows that you are prepared, you are interested. Always list education and training you have, even those certificates, if you did, say, a mental health workshop or a defensive tactics, or if you attended this, have that on there.
And
Another
as
big,
you know, I'm glad that you're mentioning this because how important it is. And as you know, at the Woodstock campus, we have slightly smaller, well, a lot smaller class sizes than the London campus. So that allows us to spend some extra time in class. And we do resumes, cover letters, and we also
perfect.
do interview prep because you're right. Sometimes you don't realize what a good resume is and what a bad one is until you start being the person to review them, right? And we scan,
Absolutely.
don't read at first glance. So if it's full of mistakes, as good as you are, you're going in this second pile.
That's great, and I'm glad to hear that. And you guys are very lucky to have that. Again, that smaller cohort, and obviously Elizabeth at your disposal to assist you with it, right? Because I can tell you the number of applicants, again, they don't go any further because it's just full of errors. And I'm not going to let you fill out and a very important, government report. If you can't even present yourself, take that time to compile this excellent piece, this resume and cover letter. So good for you guys. Take advantage of it. Absolutely. The AGCO, so a gaming license, and this is reflective because again, that position of trust, that position you have within a casino, because you have access to large volumes of money. And so again, in order to work in a casino, you have to have a gaming license. And so they do a credit check because it is a reflection of you. They do a criminal records check. And so again, this obtaining and maintaining, and I will share with you, security officer was hired, it seemed like an excellent candidate, went to get the AGCO gaming license and was denied. And so, as I say, reflect upon that. And this, though, is no different than policing. Policing are doing credit checks, obviously doing criminal reference checks, because again, these are seen as, if you will, a must-have, given the position you are in. How you manage your finances, your credit is reflective. And so having a look at that. Here's another one that used to get and amaze me. So you ask someone to be a reference, such as Ms. Shawneman, will you be a reference? And she says yes. And then your next question should be, well, what will you say about me? Because it's not just a matter of, will you be a reference? And let me tell you again, hiring individual security officers, and we get to the reference stage and make a phone call, and let's just say it was negative feedback. And so, that's quite unfortunate. So I encourage you, when you ask someone, will you be a reference? Then, and if they agree, say, well, what will you say about me? What will you know? Because, and it happened on a few occasions where it really wasn't that great or a positive reference. And so I encourage you to engage and seek out references who will truly reflect you. And volunteering in your community is another big one. And that goes to say with other, with policing and customs, etc. Because, knowing the needs of the community, being involved, again, you are working with individuals who fall within these NGO sectors. And so it's a great learning opportunity as well, that firsthand experience. So I encourage you, and I know perhaps during these times it's a little more difficult to obtain this type of experience. There are some online NGOs or foundations that are seeking people to assist them, but volunteering was huge too. Professional appearance, yes, I did. You're like, no, ACDC t-shirt, Shannon. That is because I actually had candidates show up for the interview wearing ACDC t-shirts or Led Zeppelin or torn jeans, a dirty shirt. And so again, because what I'm doing or what I was doing during those interviews and in that professional capacity, it shows, one, you took the time, you care, and you want to make that good impression. But then in my mind, I'm trying to see you within the uniform as well. Will you take pride in the uniform? And so again, you know, the number of individuals who showed up or in mini skirts, you know, a blouse and a mini skirts and 2-inch heels, not appropriate. It's business attire. Again, it's a professional look, and they're looking at you as I was looking at these individuals, you know, within that uniform, because ultimately you're a reflection of that service. They would be a reflection of my security team. So I want those professional individuals. Rehearse answers. Everyone's nervous, I get it. Rehearse answers. Be prepared. How do you handle conflict? Bring your education to the table. And here's another one. And actually it bodes well. If you don't understand the question, I encourage you to ask them to repeat it. Because, and that really shows a couple things. One, that you're not afraid to ask, right? So you're not presuming, assuming, and then going out and doing things. So you're not afraid to ask. And two, because you want to ensure you are actually answering the question. I've had candidates who went off in some other direction or tangent, and it actually had nothing to do with the question. And you have to understand at the end of the interview, you know, the panel are going through and they're scoring things. So if you haven't appropriately or accurately answered it, you're not getting points. Body language, eye contact, speak clearly, and most of all, remain calm. Have faith in yourself and your skills. This is your time to shine and showcase. You want me because, and that level of confidence again, that's what, you know, as I say, I was looking for. And again, I've done a number of reference calls now. They're looking for this in their candidates. So have faith in you. Lots of training, which also looks really well. There were a number of security officers actually who started off as a security officer within the Woodstock slots and then moved on into police services. And the feedback that I heard and received was they loved the training that was given to all security officers at the casino because it coincided. It was very useful and relevant to a police service, as well as corrections. A number of security officers went on to corrections as well. And so I've listed a number of training areas: first aid, that EMR, defense tactics, handcuffs, government regulated training, WMIS, sexual harassment, fire extinguisher, counterfeit money, identification, and extensive hours were spent with the training officer. And the initiatives, the employer initiatives, there were many benefits too for working at a casino. So the pension, the actual benefits such as dental, drug, etc., paid vacation, lieu days, compensation for educational courses. So if you wanted to continue taking some post-secondary studies, compensation for it. And, you know, the OLG was very much had this philanthropist ideology and giving back to the community, and very much involved with United Way, Woodstock slots. I had initiated for CAS the Angel Tree at Christmas, food drives, and again, it's giving back to the community, because each of these slots or casinos pride themselves and also reflect that the money that is given to each municipality helps to generate and provide more supports and services. So Woodstock slots, 1 year, I believe 1.5 million ended up being donated or given to the city of Woodstock, and that money is taken and put into various services within the city. And so OLG, or the casinos, and I've heard Gateway is very much the same, that pride of being a part of a community. And so here we are, we're finishing up. And what I loved about my career, I got to serve and protect the public, patrons, and staff. I have listed here an Alzheimer's patient. And so one day when I was working, I observed a male, because you're continuously watching people and seeing what's going on. And this male was an elderly male, seemed disoriented, if you will. I didn't recognize him, seemed a bit confused or lost, if you will. And so after observing him for a little bit, I went up to him and started engaging in a conversation. And he was unable to tell me who he was or where he was from. And so I asked Woodstock Police Service to please attend the site. I had concerns, obviously, and it ended up that he was an Alzheimer's patient that had wandered away somehow from Belleville and had been missing for days. And so again, you know, my ability to recognize and quickly engage, and you know, as I say, I knew something was wrong. It appeared he seemed lost, and then being able to reconnect him with his family was such a great feeling. Many investigations, some sad, challenging, some interesting. Child abandonment was another one that really bothered me. That's when a parent or guardian leaves their child in the vehicle and comes into the casino and games. And so there were a number of child abandonment cases, and the first one were twin babies, and it ended up it was the grandparents that were supposed to be watching them, and they claimed the children, the infants, were sleeping. And so with that, right away, we're calling again the Woodstock City Police, and CAS is also then notified and involved. And it's sad, because then the next day I'm getting a phone call from the parents of these infants, quite upset, and I'm sure they were shocked, because again, think of the allegations, the claims. And so I utilize my education. Here we are back to that police foundations diploma, and I use those analytical communication, both oral and written, conflict resolution, and leadership skills. I built strong networks, and again, you know, working in collaboration with Woodstock City Police, with OPP Gaming Detachment and Alcohol and Gaming Commission. I made some real great networks. And, you know, finally, I'm female. And so being a female in a male-dominated department, I'm very proud of my accomplishments. And so again, for those of you females out there, and I just say, continue the path, stand strong. And I face many issues. I face many individuals because I was female who felt that I did not deserve to be there. And I showed them, yes, I did, and did my job with excellence. And so I was very proud of that fact, and the fact that I moved through the ranks within the security department. So my last little bit for you, my advice to you is this. If you consider this, working at a casino and security as a career goal, great. If you see it as a possible stepping stone to get you to your career goals, that is great too. But whatever you do, do it with excellence. And I can't stress that enough. Embrace this time in the Police Foundations program. Do everything with excellence, because the reward, the payoff, I can tell you it's all worth it in the end. Thank you, Elizabeth.
And Shannon, I just have one question. So if a student watches this presentation and this interests them, how would they go about applying? Do you apply online?
Yes, that's a great question. And so you do apply online. You can go to the Gateway Casino website. Now, OLG still does own a few, but they're in other regions or districts. But go to the Gateway Casino website, and employment or job opportunities is one of the links that you can click on. And from there, you can see the various positions that they're hiring for, and you apply through that website.
So if you were to get hired on, you don't float between other casinos in other cities. You stay local to one casino, correct?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, you are hired for that specific casino, and your gaming license actually states that you are hired for Woodstock slots or wherever it is. Now, having said that, when I was when I first started and many casinos were opening, and I know maybe at times they still will, if there is a need at another facility, they will ask if anyone's interested, but primarily you will be at that one casino.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. That was very information packed, and I appreciate how you supported the content of other courses that we're taking right now, like the comms course where we're learning report writing, which we use in every law enforcement related career, regardless of
Yeah.
which one the students specifically choose. So thank you for that. And I'm just going to stop the recording now.